Good morning. The program will begin momentarily. Please take your seat. The program will begin momentarily. Please take your seat. Welcome to the 90th annual meeting of the University of Illinois Foundation. Please welcome University of Illinois Foundation Board Chair Dick Osborne.
Well, good morning and welcome. Outstanding. My two-year term with the Foundation Board of Directors as chair has expired. So I'm now available for the next 3 years to continue the good work with our board and staff. I'd like to certainly thank the Foundation members for their generosity, their commitment to the University of Illinois, and the support that they provide that. I'd also like to recognize and thank the Board of Directors. There's a group of people that are generous, work hard, and have made significant improvements in the processes in the last couple of years. I'd also like to thank the staff. They're key to the effectiveness, I think, of the board. And they've done an excellent job over the years through continuous improvement activities. There are indicators that I sense are out there that will become realistic over time, and that is for the University of Illinois' future, which should be very bright and significant. So thank you very much. I'll move on to some other things to do and appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Good morning. It's so great to be here, and I once again want to also welcome you to the University of Illinois Foundation annual meeting, our 90th annual meeting, Generations of Generosity. So we're going to get the program started here, and as we do, we're going to want to introduce some special guests that help us throughout the year with the work that we do. So I'm going to start with a bit of those introductions, and then we'll jump into the program. How's that sound? All right. So I'm going to warn you guys a little bit today. You're going to hear a lot from me. So I already asked that some of you not throw things if you get a little bit bored. So hopefully you left the breakfast rolls. Outside. So this year is, as I said, particularly special because we are celebrating the 90th anniversary of the University of Illinois Foundation. Hold on one second. Guys, I got to get some facts here straight. So you're going to either have to help me out or they're going to test my nearly 60-year-old memory. Come on. Not you guys. These screens actually have information that try to keep me on the right track. And since I'm not Bill Clinton, who apparently in the 94th State of the Union address had his prompter stopped and he spoke for an hour and a half extemporaneously on every topic that he was supposed to cover. These have stopped, just so you know, and they're stuck someplace they're not supposed to be. Okay, so how about we go to the top when I'm supposed to come up and do my welcome? Not there yet. Come on. Back up, back up, back up, back up. There you go, come on. All right, here we go. Okay, this annual gathering of our alumni, friends, and invested partners is truly one of my favorite parts of the year. And, you know, I'll never forget this one, I promise you. But few things are as rewarding in this work as really being able to celebrate the generosity of the extraordinary gifts that you make, the impact that they have on our students, our faculty, and our communities across the state and literally around the world. This year is, as I said, particularly special because we're celebrating the 90th anniversary of the University of Illinois Foundation. And for 9 decades, the foundation has served as the official private fundraising and gift-receiving entity for the University of Illinois system, working alongside donors like you to really transform possibility into reality. From scholarships and research funding to new facilities and innovative programming, your support has been shaping lives for generations and will continue to do so long into the future. That's our theme this year, Generations of Generosity. So it seems only fitting that we use that theme because you are the very embodiment of these words. And this morning we will be celebrating both the legacy of your giving that has brought us here today and the vision that will carry us forward. In fact, your philanthropy has fueled another record-breaking year, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. And so, this also happens to be Halloween. Maybe that was the prank that was played on me. So it feels appropriate that I really speak to the spirit of generosity that is very much alive and well at the University of Illinois. So I'll stay with that theme for just a minute. Some have actually said we have a few University of Illinois haunted legends and stories of spooky residents roaming about our campus in the English building, Lincoln Hall, the main library, natural resources. So, there's more than 1 or 2 of these places. So, if you happen to bump into one of them tonight, don't worry and just remember they're probably Illini too. Okay, that's enough of the Halloween stuff. Right now, let's acknowledge some of our special guests who support the work we do throughout the year and who have supported our work over time. So I'm going to start with former Chancellor Paula Allen Mears and her husband Henry are here. I'd also like to welcome President Emeritus Bob Easter and his wife Cheryl. They're here today. And a special thanks also to Trustee Ruiz, Jesse Ruiz, the chair of our Board of Trustees. You know, the trustees do important work at this university, and like I tell our board every year, if I had to pay their day rates or if we had to pay their day rates, we couldn't afford them. So when you see our volunteers, many of whom I'm going to mention today, please be sure to thank them for their service. It's very important work, and they do it through the generosity of their heart. Special thanks also to the 20th president of the University of Illinois System, Dr. Tim Killeen, who's here. And he's an esteemed partner, really, of the work we do at the foundation. He's a member of our board, and President Killeen's leadership and vision continue to strengthen the system and the foundation. Next, I know this is Foundation Weekend, and so I want to thank our nearly 1,000 foundation members. You are the driving force behind the tradition of giving at the University of Illinois. You're the reason our philanthropic programs thrive. Through your generosity, through your leadership and advocacy, you have created opportunities that will endure for generations. Literally, hundreds of thousands of students and their families have benefited from your extraordinary gifts. Would all of our foundation members who are able, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for everything you have done and that you continue to do for the University of Illinois. The University of Illinois Foundation is guided by a board of directors, and they're all volunteer leaders and accomplished professionals from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. And they all carry that same common purpose and passion for the university and for the value proposition of higher education. Their insight and dedication strengthen our philanthropic mission, and they challenge and inspire us to do the very best every day. Our board is unwavering in its commitment to our students and Illinois' unbounded excellence. They're also extremely generous. They're an extremely generous group, and since their founding, foundation board members have invested more than, and this is true, we've fact-checked it, $878 million in the University of Illinois. Yep, that's correct. We checked it, and that number is approaching $1 billion from more than 250 past and current board members. During yesterday's board meeting, we welcomed 2 new governing directors, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce them. The first is Brian Ingram. I'm not sure Brian had an audit committee meeting on another board that he's on, but I don't think Brian's in here this morning. I think he had to step out, so he is around, so do welcome him when you see him. Brian is a 1986 graduate of the Grainger College of Engineering, where he earned a degree in electrical engineering. He later received an MS in electrical engineering from Johns Hopkins University. A former senior technology executive with more than 30 years of experience in the semiconductor industry, Brian most recently served as Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Wireless Semiconductor Division at Broadcom, Inc., from where he retired in 2020. Brian and his wife, Patty, are strong believers in the University of Illinois' role in expanding educational access, and they've endowed an annual scholarship supporting students from Southern Illinois, including their hometown of DuQuoin. The Ingrams have 3 children, including a son who also earned a degree from the Grainger College of Engineering. Generations of generosity. They currently reside in San Francisco, so welcome Brian, and do please welcome Brian when you get a chance to see him. A businessman and entrepreneur, George Obernagel is the owner of Obernagel Farms and Real Estate. He's a longtime donor to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, generously supporting a wide variety of funds in both athletics and the College of Agriculture, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences. His gifts include supporting scholarships, facilities, and programming, and he also provided for the animal science, livestock, and meats judging teams. A native of the Waterloo, Illinois area and a business and accounting graduate from McKendree University, George has dedicated himself selflessly to many organizations over the years, both locally at the University of Illinois and beyond. George was unable to be with us this morning as well, but I hope you will join me this morning in thanking both of them for their commitment to the foundation. And now, I would also like, if able, all of our foundation board members, governing and life directors to please stand and be recognized so we can thank them for their leadership and stewardship. Tony DiTomaso, please stay standing, if you will. Thank you all. I want Tony, you stand up for a minute. Tony just completed his term of service as a governing director, and yesterday he was elected by his peers to serve as a life director of our board. Tony joined the board in 2012 and was our board chair from 2021 to 2023, during which time we completed our first ever UI Foundation Enterprise Strategic Plan. We built the Philanthropy Center, and we completed our most successful set of fundraising campaigns. Tony and his wife Lucy have generously supported a number of programs at the University of Illinois across our system. We've benefited greatly from Tony's counsel, his friendship, and his passion for his alma mater. So please join me in celebrating Tony's legacy as a governing director and the impact he's going to make as a life director. Thank you, Tony. And next, you know, it's a team sport, the work we do. I'd like to recognize the leadership team that I really rely on every day. This group of accomplished professionals are acknowledged as leaders among their peers. Would the members of our executive operations team please stand? And I'm off script here, but that's okay. They put me off script at the beginning. So all of our advancement professionals, because you know the number we're going to celebrate here doesn't happen without those people. Would all of our advancement staff, the fundraisers that do this work, please stand up so we can thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. And now it is truly a pleasure to welcome someone who's attending his very first Foundation annual meeting. It's my pleasure to do a bit of a soft intro. You're going to hear more about him later. But the 11th Chancellor of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, Dr. Charles L. Isbell, Jr. Charles Isbell is a nationally respected scholar and academic leader whose career has been defined by innovation, collaboration, and a deep commitment to student success. He joined the Illinois family in August after serving as provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Prior to his tenure at Wisconsin, he served as dean of computing at his alma mater, Georgia Tech. We are truly thrilled that he is here, and I'm sure you will enjoy getting to know Chancellor Isbell. You're going to hear more from him later in the program, but Charles, would you please stand? We lost one of Dr. Isbell's predecessors earlier this year, and I'd just like to take a moment to recognize the University of Illinois' sixth chancellor, Dr. Michael Aiken, who passed away in August. Dr. Aiken was chancellor from 1993 to 2001. His visionary leadership led to the development of the Research Park, investments in undergraduate facilities, and increased graduate, student, and faculty support. He certainly left his mark at UIUC, and we will always remember him fondly. And now, as I've done for the past 10 years, I also want to offer a big thank you to the director of the Krannert Center, Mike Ross, and his staff for hosting us for our annual meeting and breakfast. We greatly appreciate all that they do for us during this week and all that Mike does, but even more so for the rich and diverse selection of programming they bring to this community. So Mike, thank you and your team for everything you do for us. Okay, we're going to stay on track as best we can now. And now, how about we start the program? The first segment is always an important part of every annual meeting, and it has been for 90 years. I'm going to invite Christy Devasel, UI Foundation Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer, Travis Shore, UI Foundation Chief Investment Officer, and Dr. Nick Jones, Executive Vice President of the U of I system, to come up and discuss some of the financial highlights, challenges, and opportunities from the past fiscal year. And perhaps they'll even maybe look into a crystal ball and tell us a little bit about what they think the future financial landscape looks like. So please welcome Nick, Christy, and Travis.
Thanks very much, Jim, for that introduction. It's great to be here. This is nicer than my living room up here. Before we get started, I know that there are many of you in the room who probably know Travis and Christy already and what they do, but for those who don't, I thought we'd just take a couple of minutes to have them say a few words about their role at the foundation and a brief reflection on the path that got them here. So Christy, maybe I'll start with you.
Sure, thank you. Well, I've been at the foundation now almost 29 years. I did start when I was 12. I'm kidding. Now, originally I came from banking. I was in banking for a few years after graduating from Illinois State University. And my husband's job transferred us to Champaign. So I was driving back and forth to Bloomington, and I had sat for the CPA exam, and I met a woman at a new CPA dinner, and she was the manager of accounting at the University of Illinois Foundation. Her name was Cam Murphy. She's been retired a number of years. But anyway, that was my first foray into advancement. I had no idea what advancement was. I had no idea what a higher ed foundation did. But it was a great segue from banking into the banking for the University of Illinois. So anyway, that's my journey, and it's been an incredible one.
Great. Thank you. Travis.
So I joined the foundation 3.5 years ago. I was the Deputy Chief Investment Officer at Vanderbilt prior. Had worked for a couple other universities and also began my career in banking. So supporting the University of Illinois is fantastic. I take great honor in the idea that I've now worked for 4 different universities, none of which would have accepted me as a high school graduate. So it is an amazing sort of like reclamation and but yes, nonetheless, 3.5 years into the role, so entering my 4th fiscal year here.
Great. Thank you both very much. Before we get into questions too, I'd just like to clarify for any of you who are leaning to your neighbors saying, "Where's that from?" The accent is from New Zealand, so let's clear that up right now. So, Christy, I think I'll start this one with you. In recent months, we hear talk about endowment often in the media. A lot of the information I know raises hackles for us and gives us great pause because there's a lot of inaccurate information or misleading information about what endowments represent and how they can be used. Can you help clarify what an endowment is and how exactly it can be used?
Sure, of course. So endowments are gifts where people actually give us the gift and we invest it, and only the income from that endowment can be used. Almost every single endowment has a gift agreement that is restricted by the donor. So when I say almost everyone, I'd say about 98% of our endowment is fully restricted by a donor's wishes and governed by a gift agreement. So we are bound and obligated as a fiduciary to administer the funds according to those donors' wishes. It is not fungible money. It's not like a checkbook where we can trade dollars and take scholarships and use it for research or anything like that. It's our obligation and our responsibility to make sure that those funds are used appropriately.
Right, and maybe
in
a quick
partnership with the university, of course.
Yes, yeah. A quick follow-up on that. As you indicated, every gift includes an agreement that outlines very clearly the specific terms and uses. Why is that so important, and how does the foundation ensure that donor wishes years, even decades later, are still honored?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a full team in partnership, again, with the university. I mean, every business officer, gift officer, faculty member in a unit is part of that team of making sure that we're using that money accordingly. There's a lot of systems in place that provide the guidelines so that people understand what they're to be used for, that there's no ambiguity. We work very closely with the donors and the gift officers when a donor is establishing a gift too, to make sure that the purpose is such that we can administer it in perpetuity. We don't want to be so restrictive or set up everyone for disappointment and not set expectations on the front end that we can't administer long term. So we try to be thoughtful and forward thinking when establishing a gift agreement and working with a donor to establish their endowment.
Great. All right, Travis, this one is a little more technical, so I'm going to hit you with this one. I've heard you say that you've implemented a think like an investor approach to managing the foundation's endowment that we were just talking about. How does this differentiate the foundation's endowment from other comparable investment offices?
Yeah, so the word allocator is largely banned in our office. I have a scowl on my face if one of my colleagues accidentally use it. The way we think about investing is really through the lens of understanding businesses, industries, and capital structures. So it's companies first, industries second, and then how they're financed, so their capital structures. So we want to have a deep understanding with partnerships with external strategic partners, which are largely our investment managers, and then leverage every tool available to us in the toolkit to build a global portfolio and a multi-asset global portfolio. So you juxtapose that with the idea that you would say, I want to have X percent in hedge funds or X percent in this bucket. And one of my colleagues uses this analogy of, you make a shopping list to go to the grocery store and you walk down and you pick one of these and one of these, and you eventually fill your cart or your buckets. Our approach is the antithesis of that. So it is primarily bottom up. There's some strategic and tactical complements that we use around that, but those tend to be more limited and not sort of a part of the durable strategy.
Great, thank you. Well, no question, this is an extraordinary year for the foundation. $656 million in new business, which didn't actually break a previous record. It shattered the previous record by a cool $157 million. It's pretty extraordinary. What does a number like that really mean to somebody who doesn't work in fundraising every day? So, Christy, maybe I'll throw that one at you first.
Sure. What that does for the University of Illinois is provides the opportunity to do the extraordinary. I think I brought a stat here, it might be on one of the slides. The new business number of $656 million included 22% to student support, which provides scholarships, awards, fellowships, support to students to be able to succeed here or at any of our 3 campuses. Research is 15%. That's where the support for faculty and staff and the cutting edge research that is happening on our campuses every single day. And then unrestricted funds, 40% of that was unrestricted. And as I mentioned earlier, 98% of that, the endowment is restricted. 40% of this giving this year, this is both endowment and current use, is restricted or unrestricted, but it is restricted to a college or a campus. So again, or to a unit. So again, it's unrestricted, which actually is the highest and best use that a dean or a department head can have. It's the flexibility to be able to put the money in the investment where it's needed most this year. And whether that's in students, research, faculty, or whatever else, it gives them that most flexibility. So in a number like this, it just continues to make the university an extraordinary place and the impact in the global environment.
Yeah, maybe a quick follow-up on that too. I know for us who work in this business day to day, these are all things that we're used to, but I'm sure many in the audience scratch their heads from time to time when they hear some of this phraseology of the cash received. 296 million is described as current use funds and 131 million as endowed funds. What's the practical difference between these two types of support?
Sure. So, endowments, as I mentioned, is where the gift is actually invested and only the income can be used. Current use funds are those funds that are meant to be used in the current period. So they're meant to be used right away. If someone gives $1,000 for a scholarship, they're intended for a student, they are intending for a student to receive that scholarship now. So it has immediate impact on the current use side of the house.
So endowment grows in a number of ways. One is through new commitments. The other is through performance of the portfolio over time. So Travis, for you, how have new investments performed relative to legacy holdings?
Yeah, so in our meeting yesterday with our foundation board of directors, we walked through what effectively is the end of a 3-year transition period. And at this point, we're up to about 88% of the endowment. As managed, quote unquote, by the current team or the current leadership since just before the beginning of fiscal year 2022. So if you look at that, when we crossed 50% of the portfolio being managed or put in place by this team, that gives you about a 2-year window. So over those 2 years, new investments have annualized at 13.3% versus the portfolio more broadly at sort of rounded at 7. And then excluding some of the sales and divestitures we had in this fiscal year, that number would have been about 9. So whether you pick the 9 or the 7, the 13.3 is much greater. So we're very happy about the seeds we've planted in the last 3 years and the fruit we think that'll bear in the next 3 to 5 years.
Great. We've had a pretty good run for a few years, but there's always volatility and uncertainty in the way the markets perform. How does the approach that you bring and this new thinking, this new strategic thinking, help the portfolio navigate volatility? And if you give a good answer, I'm going to give you my financial advisor's phone number.
We try to be flexible. We're agnostic to value or growth. We are not agnostic to geography, so we take lots of care to make sure that we don't get assets in places that we can't really get them out. So, and lots of jurisdictions where you'll see endowments make investments where there's not, great rule of law or great protections of capital, we tend to keep those pretty liquid. So it's a very nimble approach, especially on the on the private investment side, where it's a liquid and you don't have a lot of control in your exit, unless you do a sale like we did this year. And then on the public side, as I mentioned earlier, we're focused on operating companies predominantly, mostly in developed markets. So it's mostly equity focused. About 70+% of the endowment is focused on just owning equity in businesses that can compound capital over time, and the endowment and everything it supports would grow with that.
So the performance of the endowment is one of the important metrics we look at. Christy, from your perspective, how does that impact donor support, particularly future donor support?
It's a point in time, and it is important for us to look at where we are in performance and to look at where we are with our peers. I know everybody does it, but we're all different, and sometimes that can be dangerous to compare yourself to another portfolio that's completely different. But I think in the end, one of the most important things that we do here is that we use a smoothing effect. We have a 6-year moving average of our endowment pool that we use to calculate spending. And the reason we do that is so that we can always guarantee that the spending will be reliable and it will be predictable. So when we talk about a bad year or a bad month or one blip, and it's a blip, in our portfolio performance, we're looking at 72 months of data points for this average, right? So it is just one data point out of 72. And that's why I think it works, right? We went to a total return concept back in the late 80s, and we haven't faltered from that. We maybe have changed the years, but it's been a 6-year moving average, I think now for probably over 15 years. And that's why it works. When there's a down market, we still can provide a reliable source of spending. When there's an up market, we're providing a reliable source of spending. We're not spending what we're earning, but we're not spending when we're not earning. So I think that's one of the unique features, I believe, of the U of I Foundation's endowment is that we do protect that spending over time, and it does give reliance then to not only the donors, but also to the students who are receiving the scholarship, the faculty receiving the research funds, or whatever the purpose might be.
My next question actually is for both of you, because I think you would each have a slightly different perspective, and that probably would be good for our audience to hear. How should faculty, students, and alumni think about the tangible impacts of UIF's endowment portfolio? Where can gains in the portfolio's investments be recognized?
You want to go first?
Okay, knock it off. Travis.
You go first.
You go first.
That's a tough one. Ultimately, this is why we have a portfolio and an endowment, its purpose, and why we invest it, right? So, as an example, I was not a child born into privilege who had a lot of resources to go to school. I graduated with a pretty immense amount of debt, and I had already mentioned I was not a great student, so I had very, very finite scholarship resources. But what I did have was amazing, and if I'd had more, it would have made life a lot easier. And the ability for a student to go to school and not graduate with a lot of debt, or the ability for faculty members to conduct life-changing research and therapeutics, or you pick your field of research, is powerful. And the gains from the endowment that are made from the generous gifts from the folks in this room and beyond are what allow for that to happen. So we remind ourselves virtually every day why we're doing this. People can invest or go, leave banking or work in financial industries in lots of different places, but you choose to do it here, or at least I think for our team, we choose to do it here because of the second order impact and benefit it has beyond our coming to work every day, trying to quote unquote make money.
Christy, your perspective.
I look at it very similarly, but also on the impact side. So I too was a scholarship recipient, and when I came here, I went back to school. I'm a 2013 grad of Geese College of Business, Brook, in my MBA program, and I received a scholarship from the program and would not have been able to go back and get my MBA without that support, so agreed. And I also wanted to share, I had told Nick that I've been serving on a panel for a search here on campus, and we had this young lady the other day, and you start with the standard questions of why do you want this job? Well, when she started asking us questions, she said, why should I come here? And we were all like, what a great question. But everybody was so excited about answering the question, and so I wrote down some of the things because the impact that philanthropy brings to the University of Illinois in enabling faculty, staff, and students, and the life-changing impact of the work we do resulted in things like the ones you usually know, like the whipped cream in a can, the LED, the first web browser, the MRI. But did you know that it also was the music for silent movies, the tech for the mobile phone? Of course, we know about the early testing for COVID, the shingles vaccine in Chicago, our pioneer in online learning in UIS, the cancer research and drug discovery that's happening across our system, the first accessible campus with curb cuts and wheelchair accessible buses. Did everybody know that?
No.
Hopefully. Electronic dishwasher. That was when I found on ChatGPT. I had no idea. The plasma TV. I mean, I could go on and on. Quantum. But also the extraordinary things that our alumni are doing every single day across the globe. I mean, if you think about that, you can't go anywhere in this world and say ILL in a crowd and not hear one person say INI. Or seeing that UIC cap. We were in Munich, and there's this young man from UIS was like, hey, do you have any UIS garb I can wear? And we're like, write that down, we're gonna mail it to him. I mean, you just can't go anywhere in this world. You can't go 24 hours without touching something that was either invented, considered, or innovated, or thought of here at UUI in one of our 3 universities. So that, to me, is where the pride points and the importance of philanthropy to continue to just make this place great.
So every day when I put a plate in the dishwasher, I can be
You can thank
thankful
someone.
to the University.
I didn't ask ChatGPT who that was, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Great. Christy, looking at where donors directed the big $656 million this year, student support, research, academic programs, what is this telling you as somebody who kind of looks at those numbers in aggregate? What's it telling you about what's important to University of Illinois donors right now?
I think what the most interesting thing in the trends we're seeing is the higher amount of unrestricted support. That, to me, means that donors trust in our institution, they trust in our faculty, they trust in our deans, our leadership at all levels. And I think, to me, that's probably one of the biggest trends we've seen, and obviously the increase in student support, with the changes in federal support, whether it's on the grants or Pell or MAP, whatever it might be. Donors are listening, and a lot of donors were scholarship recipients themselves, and know how important it is to be able to have accessible and affordable education. So to me, those are probably the two biggest trends. Obviously, research is going to always be critical. And we see a lot more research support from corporations and foundations, not so much from individuals. And we'll probably see a trend grow in that area, I would suspect, with the changing in the federal landscape, perhaps. But.
Great. Okay, so my last question, and this is another one that I'm gonna pitch to both of you because I think your different roles bring different perspectives that are probably helpful for the audience. The question is, what does this record-breaking year position the University of Illinois to accomplish that wouldn't have been possible otherwise? And so maybe I'll get the perspective of the CIO first on that, because this is why you do what you do, right, is to help us enable.
It's just it's tremendous momentum. And, you know, I joke with some folks sometimes, like a very, very, very limited amount of my role is advancement or fundraising. I do meet with donors, but Jim would have never hired me to raise money and would probably fired me by week 6. But it's a lot of momentum, and our advancement team is fantastic. The amount of effort they put into this and the enthusiasm and the preparation and the research that goes into the background is amazing. And then to see the results of that and the enthusiasm of the donors, it's powerful. So it'll have tangible impacts across, you know, what we said earlier: student support, faculty, research, and that will last for generations to come. So Christy will give you like more tangible evidence of what that is, because it is interesting managing endowment. You see this in a big pool, and then Christy's team sees like the direct designation of the funds for the individual purposes. And then I drive around campus or our three campus locations, and I see the impacts, and it's amazing.
Yep. Travis will tell you, I regularly remind him that every dollar in that endowment has a story.
Yes.
When I first
From
started.
your audit.
Well, yes, that's right. When I started here, one of my first jobs was to go through every single fund agreement and compare it to our database to make sure the guidelines were correct. And at the time, there were only 2,000 endowments, not the 7,500 endowments we have now. But it was so moving for me, especially to come from a non-advancement world, to understand the story behind those gifts. You know, there was a biography about someone they were memorializing, or a story about a faculty member who made an impact them or changed their life or gave them a new trajectory, or, you know, whatever the story was. Every single dollar that people give to this organization has a story, it has a reason, it has a purpose. And to me, that's kind of the fun stuff. I do have some more stats about some of our really cool things we do here, but I won't bore everybody with those. But there are some really awesome things that we can claim and we can brag about, and we should brag about, and we should be proud to do so. This
is a university, I've worked for a few, this is a university that doesn't brag very much, maybe not enough. So when you begin to list off some of the other things, it's pretty pretty phenomenal.
All right,
All right,
so
go ahead, Christy.
again, thank you to ChatGPT and the University of Illinois' website. 7 astronauts, including one that was just named this fall. Did you know that 2 of them are from a tiny small town named Savannah, Illinois? Like, how weird is that? And one of them was a stunt pilot in Top Gun. You remember the scene in Top Gun where the plane was upside down? That was one of our astronauts. We have 26 Nobel Prize winners, both alumni and faculty, including one that was just awarded here about a month ago. We have over 490 athletes who went into the MLB, NFL, or NBA after graduation. Now, they didn't all stay there, but almost 500 athletes went on. We had 29 Pulitzer Prize winners, 1 Crawford Prize winner, and this one of my colleagues told me the other day, we have 1 K-pop star. She is K-pop demon hunter Rumi. She is a 2007 graduate of LAS. And when I looked that one up, because I'm like, I have no idea who this person is or what this is. If you listen to the song, you might actually recognize it. So it was pretty cool. But I mean, it's just, these are the brag points. I mean, these are people who are all over the world sharing the U of I and its message. You know, if you see somebody at the Super Bowl wearing their Illinois hat, or, you know, you see these winners in the Nobel Prize, you know, they went to University of Illinois, or they did their research at the University of Illinois. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible.
Great. Well, thank you
Well,
both
wait,
very much.
you've asked us all these questions. So it's our turn to ask you. What?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's not on there. You tell us, how important is philanthropy to the University of Illinois?
Okay, well, that puts me in the hot seat a little bit. Let me answer in two ways. I guess one with a personal story and one sort of more in my professional capacity. So the personal story is in 1980, I was a young guy in New Zealand working in a structural engineering company, and I got a letter from what ended up being my graduate school saying, you have been awarded and I still remember the name, a Smith and Louise Lee Memorial Fellowship. That was probably the most important sentence in the letter beyond you have been accepted, because that support was the difference maker for me about whether I could attend graduate school in California or not. And as I reflect on the fact that I'm sitting here in this role as Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs of the University of Illinois System, that all could have been not possible without that one commitment from that couple who donated funds so that a kid like me from New Zealand could come to grad school in the United States. So just incredibly impactful personally. On the professional side, I would say that one of the things that has been most meaningful for me in all of the interactions I've had with advancement as a department head, as a dean, as a provost, as a vice president, is being in a position where you can build relationships with the donors and give those individuals opportunities to reconnect with an institution that they really care about. So you provide access to the institution, build those relationships, and then at some point a transaction may occur where there is a gift commitment made, and then to be able to be in a position to steward those commitments and see not only the impact it has at the institution, but the pride and excitement that it generates for the donors themselves to know that they are part of something big. Many of the things that you described are great examples. So I really enjoy seeing that happen, and you know that as it is happening, it is having a profound positive impact on this institution that we really care about. So thanks for that question. Yep.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you all very much, and thank you both.
Yep. Good, thanks.
Thanks, sir. All right. Okay, so before I move on and really talk a little bit more about impact, I do want to also acknowledge that former UIUC Chancellor Mort Weir and his wife Seal are here. So I was not made aware of that earlier, so welcome to you both. So thank you, Christy, Travis, and Nick, and really nothing makes me prouder than being here with all of you to celebrate a record fundraising year. $656 million is a huge number, as you just heard, but you also just heard the real impact is what those funds enable us to do. Every dollar makes a difference. In fact, it's worth restating that more than 171,000 individual contributions were made in 2025. So Some of the discussion just shared some examples of impact, but I'd also like to just kind of call out a few things that we were able to celebrate this year through our generous donors. At UIUC, a $100 million gift from Larry Geese to the Division of Intercollegiate Athletics will help renovate and update a 102-year-old Memorial Stadium. A gift to the Geese Reichert Real Estate Academy will expand applied learning, industry mentorship, and student access for individuals studying commercial real estate. The creation of the Connie Frank Care Center expanded collaborative student support services for the holistic growth and development of Illinois students. An extraordinary gift from John and Bonnie Dower not only helped renovate the library, but I also know that their gift inspired others to invest in the library project. And speaking of generations of generosity, I also know that many families celebrated their Illinois legacies through memorial and naming gifts in support of that library. In Chicago, UIC received several multi-million-dollar gifts to the UI Health System and the College of Medicine, including contributions from Herb Perrin and Denise Marino that will not only support the new drug discovery and cancer research pavilion, but will fund environmental justice projects in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Research at the University of Illinois continues to receive funding, much needed funding, from private donors because we have a track record of excellence. We also have evidence to prove that our students are very good bets. As such, last year, more than $142 million was invested in scholarships and fellowship support for our current generation of Illinois students across all three of our universities. And in Springfield, UIS, we saw unprecedented growth with an increase of 142% in new business. In addition to major gifts in support of campus priorities like enhancing the innovation ecosystem and student support, this incredible year was fueled mostly by dedicated annual donors and the campus's amazing faculty and staff. These are just a few ways of which your continued commitment to Illinois is making a lasting difference. Every year, thousands of gifts, large or small, endowed, deferred, or current use, collectively strengthen our universities, uplift our students, and power the discoveries that shape a brighter future for all of us. We deeply appreciate each and every gift and each and every one of you for keeping the University of Illinois among your philanthropic priorities. Your generosity embodies the culture of philanthropy that has sustained the foundation for 90 years and counting, built not only on financial support, but also on the values, vision, and the commitment you continue to share with this university. For many of you here today, that vision and commitment began when you received a scholarship that helped make your Illinois education possible. Or you remember what it felt like to sit in a classroom where your mind caught fire and you found your calling. You carried those moments forward into your lives, your families, and your careers. And then when you were able, you turn back to lift up the next generation. You give back because you want today's students to have that same transformative experience that you had so that the Illinois story can continue. Each year at this gathering, we're reminded of something very profound, that the University of Illinois is not just built on great ideas, but by the caring and committed people who love it. And now, just in one moment, it's not just in one moment, it's across time and generations. At first, a gift becomes one of a lifetime of gifts, or an endowed fund creates a source of perpetual and permanent support for years and decades to come. Grandchildren will give because their parents and grandparents gave. Countless families have woven their stories and generosity into the heart of the University of Illinois. Families whose names you see on buildings, scholarships, and programs, and thousands whose gifts you may never publicly know or that may never publicly be recognized, but are also part of this fabric of this great university. All have helped build the Illinois we know today. Every generation of donors empowers the next generation to dream bigger, reach higher, and achieve more. Your place in our time-honored legacy of giving helps ensure that the impact of Illinois philanthropy will continue to shape the lives of students, faculty, and the citizens of the world for generations to come, and we are truly, truly grateful. Endowed gifts, as you heard, are one of the truest expressions of that purpose. They provide enduring support, not just today, but for generations to come. They are promises that will outlast all of us. I'd like to share one story this morning with you. It's about the very first endowed farm that the foundation received in 1954 from lifetime Urbana resident Clara Yearsley Shaw. Upon Clara's passing, she left her 642-acre farm to benefit the University of Illinois in memory of her two children, both who attended the University of Illinois, and her husband. She wanted that property to continue to be farmed and wanted the proceeds to be used to support scholarships, fellowships, and research. Today, 71 years later, the foundation still owns that property, and we continue to honor Clara's wishes and her vision to provide a forever gift to the University of Illinois. This one gift has provided nearly $6 million over the years and has benefited 955 students and counting with life-changing financial assistance. Absolutely incredible. Year after year, generation after generation, one gift from one person is still delivering on that donor's passion to support students who want to improve their life by earning an Illinois degree. There are many other stories like Clara's and countless families who have turned their passion for the University of Illinois into purpose through gifts of all kinds. While we honor our remarkable philanthropic past today, we are also keeping our eye squarely on the future. As we look ahead, let us carry forward that same spirit that guided Clara Shaw and so many others, a belief in the power of education to transform lives, and a belief in the lasting difference one act of generosity can make. What will our advancement program and philanthropic highlights look like in 2035 when the foundation celebrates a century of generosity? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I am confident we'll be here talking about philanthropic investments and globally impacting innovations. Remember, our celebration today is not just about the dollars. It's about the people investing in people. More resources mean we can be more impactful. So thank you all for believing in this amazing place and for your ongoing and generous support. Okay, we're going to move on. In addition to the election of new members, yesterday's board meeting also marked, as Dick told you, the end of his term as chair. So Dick, I want you to come up here one more time, please. Dick's leadership and vision, unwavering commitment and pride that your leadership that you've shared. By the way, Dick was our first chair of the foundation from the University of Illinois Springfield. But yes, I can't thank him enough on a personal level, but everything you've done really has helped strengthen the foundation and really enhance our mission in immeasurable ways. We're grateful for your energy, your wisdom, all of your generosity, and I'd be remiss if I didn't also take a moment to express our appreciation to his wife, Shar, who was on this journey with him. So Shar, thank you. And the only thing I can say here, and I'm gonna let you talk in a second. So this is our shtick here. I gotta watch this.
What about my sense of humor?
I'll let you share that with us in a minute. But Dick has always been there in these roles as Chancellor or President Killeen and Trustee Ruiz now. The phone rings at crazy times of the day and night and whenever, and he always answers. And has always been a good partner. So, Dick, thank you for everything you've done. And now we are excited to work with you the next 3 years without the burden of the chair duties. So, thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you. I wasn't expecting this, but, Jim Moore is the key to this foundation. He's effective. He's ready to improve anything at any time. He's got great relationships with his staff as well as the directors. So, Jim, I appreciate your commentary to me, but you are the person that's really running things. Thank you.
I thought he was going to talk about his sense of humor. Thank you, Dick. Well, it's now my honor and pleasure to introduce our new and newly elected board chair, Karen Goles. After graduating from the Geese College of Business with an accounting degree in 1976, Karen immediately took a job with what ultimately became Ernst & Young. She spent her entire career with the firm, rising to the role of partner and global vice chair before retiring in 2017. Karen joined the foundation board in 2014. She has served on literally every committee on the board, and she also chaired the investment policy committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome new UI Foundation board chair, Karen Goles.
Good morning. I want to offer my thanks to everyone for their generous giving on behalf of the University of Illinois system and its universities. We greatly appreciate your philanthropy and the philanthropy of those that came before us for the past 90 years. And I trust that you see the same thing that I see when I have the opportunity to be on any campus. It's the impact of philanthropy. And a lot of that impact is walking around in our students, where philanthropy, in part, helps them achieve and accomplish excellent education, but also philanthropy helps provide additional services and support for those students to get to graduation and then onward to their chosen field of endeavor. So philanthropy is an integral element of success. So thank you. I now have the pleasure to invite the Chancellor of the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Dr. Charles Isbell Jr. to the stage and to my couch. And I'm going to say we saved the best for last.
Oh, I like that.
We're going to have a little fireside chat. And I have the easy part, because all I have to do is ask the questions. And the chancellor has to answer.
Well, we'll see.
So first, I want to thank you for being here with us and spending time. I've been on campus for a number of days now, and I can tell you I've heard lots of people say they're looking forward to meeting you, but also to hearing from you in various venues across the week. So, and there's many of those in the room, and they want to know how you're feeling about your 3 months. But also, they want to know a little bit about you personally. So I'm going to ask questions, and he added an extra question while we're sitting down there, so you'll hear that one. But I'll start with the first one. So what inspired you to pursue a career in higher education leadership, which is even higher, and what drew you specifically to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign?
Well, first off, thank you for the question. I appreciate being up here, and thank all of you for being here today. Looking forward to this nice conversation, and it is, of course, but the first of many conversations I hope to have with you. So the question has two parts. It has three parts, actually. I think you said it right the first time. Higher education. There's higher education and higher education leadership. And for me, those things have always been intertwined. So I knew when I was 8 years old that I wanted to be a computer scientist and that I wanted to be a professor. I didn't know what either of those things meant, but I was 100% sure that that's what I wanted to do. And every year that went by after that, it became clearer and clearer to me that that's what I wanted. I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed education. I enjoyed reaching out to people on the one hand. And I also enjoyed building things. I did AI, machine learning. I built a robot. Well, an older student helped me to build a robot, but we built a robot, and we did all that. And I went to high school, and I knew that I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to be a part of the higher education landscape. And so I did that. I did that through grad school, and I went on. And every year that went by, I knew more and more that that was what I wanted to do. When I became a professor in my alma mater, Georgia Tech, The day I earned tenure and became an associate professor was the day that I became associate dean for undergraduate education. Because I believed then, and I believe now, that it was important to put as much intellectual and emotional energy into how organizations worked, what higher education could do, as it was into my research, which I care passionately about and care passionately about still. Those things are at least equally important to one another. I knew, looking back even then, and I knew just talking to my mother and my father, who believe very much in education, that I would not be able to be in any of the places that I was able to be without the power of education, without the power of support to make that happen. Teachers changed my life. The environment changed my life. And so that is the reason that I continued walking down this path, and that is the reason why I am here. Not everyone knows this, but although I spent 21 years at Georgia Tech, the first 3 or 4 years, I actually would come up to Champaign-Urbana 3 or 4 times a year to work with people here. I was the computer science guy, to work with folks who were modeling hurricanes, trying to understand what it would mean to sort of track them. Are they going to hit landfall? How strong are they going to be? That sort of thing. It was here that I learned how to think about large-scale research and to do that in an interdisciplinary way. I would come in. I don't remember much about the campus. I would come in and...
It's a lot different now.
I wouldn't know. So I would come in and I would immediately drive from Indianapolis because I refused to take a small plane. So I'd drive into Indianapolis and I would go to the Hampton Inn, and there was a Perkins, which I see is still there. And then I would walk across the street, and that's pretty much all I really got a chance to do, but I really came to love this place, developed a lot of friendships with people over the years, and so when the opportunity came, particularly given the world that we're in right now, to come back to Urbana-Champaign, I jumped at the chance. This is a place where you can do great things.
Great, thank you. So you've been here 3 months. I think it's 3 months tomorrow, right?
This is the last day of my third month.
Last day of the 3 months, okay. So a veteran now. What are your top priorities for this first year?
Well, it's this is a question people ask me a lot. What are your top priorities? What are you going to do? And I've decided it's a trap. And so rather, because I don't want to commit to something specific and then find out later it doesn't make sense. So the biggest thing that I'm trying to do this first year is to listen. Listen and learn. I feel like I know the place. I've been watching it for years, decades. I've been a part of it in various ways. But the world is an interesting place. Culture here is different from culture there or there or there, and really understanding what people want. Not just the people, by the way, the faculty and the staff and the students, but the alum, the people in the community who've never actually come to this university, but are nonetheless affected by it. I'm really about listening here. Now, when I say listening, I don't just mean listening and not making any decisions. We are making decisions. There's a bunch of things that will get announced over the next month or two. A lot of it's insider baseball, but it's all about setting ourselves up for a conversation that we're going to need to have over the next 6-9 months so that we can take off.
Well, when we were sitting down there, you asked me to ask you a question about bragging. Mm-hmm. So give us, you had a thought about that.
Yeah, so I really love the comment that was up here about this is not a place that brags necessarily enough, and I think that's true. I've lived all over the country and spent time everywhere, and I've spent the last couple of years in the Midwest, and it reminds me a lot of the South. So one of those places, there's a lot of passive-aggressive politeness, and in the other, there's a lot of aggressive politeness. And I will leave it to the audience to decide which region I am talking about for the two. And I think one of the consequences of both of those is that you sometimes do not brag. You think of bragging as a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think humility is not false humility. Humility is understanding what your strengths are, understanding what your weaknesses are, and then trying to live past those weaknesses and live up to your strengths. So to me, when I think about bragging about this place, it's an amazing place, the LED. I mean, we heard all of those sorts of things. It's really a question of what do we want to be able to brag about, because you can only brag about, or you should only brag about things that are true. So, and I've said this before, but I think, and it ties into the question of what I want to do, what we want to do this next year. Here's what I want to brag about this university, about this place. I want it to be the case that we can say that we influence every single important social, political, and technological decision in the world. Right? That's the thing that I want to be able to say, and I want people to not think of it as bragging because it's true. You don't say, well, Michael Jordan's bragging about, scoring points. Well, he scored a bunch of points. I don't want people to think that it's a false thing, because it's not, that we are having an impact on the world, and we take our mission and our obligation to do that seriously, and we understand that that is not a thing that you do just to do it. It is a gift and an obligation to be able to have that kind of influence, to be able to be the place that people want to go to understand how to make big difference and impact in the world. So I think that we should be proud of who we are and proud of what we do and what we're going to do, and that there's nothing wrong with talking about it. That's not bragging, that's simply being.
Great. Well, excellent. We got more to go. We'll just do a few more questions. I don't want to get the hook, on time. So, the university serves, a wide range of stakeholders, right? Students, alumni, faculty, donors, its own board of trustees, the communities, and this is all of the universities. How do you plan to engage with these wide-ranging stakeholders and try to build, relationships that are beneficial for both sides?
Right. Well, for all sides. Events like this, you will see me doing fireside chats. You will see me walking on the quad. You will see me in Chicago. You will see me in Springfield. You will see me touring the state. You will see me going around, because I think those conversations really matter. And when I talk about listening, this is important, but it's not just about listening. It's about being engaged in a real conversation. Right? So for me, what's going to be important is, as we engage with all these stakeholders and all these different individuals, all these groups of folks, is to make certain that they are a part of an ongoing conversation. It means that I will ask difficult questions occasionally, as well as listening to their stories, but it's about creating that environment where we can have that conversation. So we'll do lots of things like this. You'll be able to find me on the quad. You'll see me in the airport a lot. Whatever you do, just ask me questions. We will talk. That's how I want to do this.
Great. So let me ask, what can the foundation do to help you or be helpful?
So I think there's kind of two questions there, right? There's the foundation itself as an organization, and then the people that the foundation supports and represents, the people who are a part of it, and the donors and the folks who support. So I think there's kind of two things there. And really they kind of have the sort of same answer. A lot of what we've been talking about for the last hour or so has been about treasure, and as well it should be. We should be very proud of the things we've been able to do. We've been able to support people for 100 years, and what we're going to sort of enable in the future. But a lot of it is about time, as much as anything else. I mean, I think about someone like Larry Gies, right? It's not just that he's going to help us with Memorial Stadium, with the Gies Memorial Stadium, and allow us to renovate it and to make it better and make it last for another 102 years, but that he comes here all the time, that he talks to students. He is there showing people what can be accomplished, and he is listening and a part of the community. So the foundation is a way of helping us. The organization is a way of helping us to connect with these people, these millions of people, 500,000 people who are living alum, just helping us to connect with people and giving them a mechanism to connect with us. And that is really what the foundation is about, is helping us with the time as well as the treasure and connecting with people.
Okay, last question. I want to ask, because we want to get a little personal. I told you people want to know something about you personally. Mm-hmm. So outside of work, what are some things you really enjoy doing?
Well, I play racquetball. I played racquetball this morning for an hour and a half, which is not all the reason why I showed up late, I promise. It was a lot of fun. I play Ultimate Frisbee a lot, so I'm really into sports. I have, as of Wednesday, 22,761 comic books.
How many?
22,761, which tells you a few things.
Do you have like a comic book closet?
I have a room.
A room, okay,
comic
book room.
The
Okay.
thing that's important about that is not that I have 22,761 comic books, but I'm the kind of person who knows he has 22,761 comic books. And then the last thing that I will say about myself is that I really, really, really like eating.
Eating?
Eating.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite food is bacon. My second favorite food is cheese, all cheese. And my third favorite food is chocolate.
Okay. Thank you. A real pleasure. Thank you so much. And I told you we saved the best for last. And remember, bacon, cheese, and chocolate.
In that order.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, wow, where did I go with that? You do have a good cardiologist. Okay. All right. Well, before I wrap things up, I do want to just circle back around. One omission, significant one, in fact, so I apologize. But On April 1st, we also lost the 14th president of the University of Illinois, Dr. Stanley Eikenberry. Dr. Eikenberry actually was not only the 14th president, but he was the youngest president at 44 years of age. I believe the longest tenured president. And then he came back and became the 17th president for an interim period in 2010. So condolences and also just an expression of thanks and gratitude. The list of things he did during his tenure would keep us here another hour, and I know many of you have lunch plans. So thank you, Chancellor Isbell, for being here with us this morning. I do look forward to many, many more of these foundation annual meetings with you and weekends with you. Karen, thank you for your leading the discussion with Chancellor Isbell, and also thank you again for, we talked about service and time, for your commitment to chair the UI Foundation Board. Our entire team and all of your colleagues are certainly excited to work with you in this new and important role. So as we prepare to close today's meeting, I'd just like to extend my gratitude, sincere gratitude to all of you one more time. Thank you for joining us for this special 90th annual meeting, and we hope that we really appreciate everything you do every year, but specifically this year, and we want to celebrate you. So we couldn't do any of this without you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I do expect to see many of you tonight at our celebration at the Illinois Philanthropy Center, or University of Illinois Philanthropy Center. And then, equally as important, I want to see all of you tomorrow at Geese Memorial Stadium as we watch our Fighting Illini get back on the winning track. I'm gonna predict it. We're getting a win tomorrow, Josh. Back on the winning track with a win over Rutgers. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next year.